Hi, I'm Kerri Cavanaugh, Senior Consultant with Magid.
And I'm Daniela Iglesias, a Director of Revenue Strategy here at Magid. Today, we're excited to talk about Hispanic media. Looking at population trends, we know that the Hispanic population in the US is expected to reach 100 million by 2050. It's the fastest growing segment of the population. Now, from a business perspective, we know that reaching this segment of the population is crucial for growth, but we also know that building an effective strategy that isn't only going to reach the Hispanic consumer, but also build long-term connection and brand affinity can be challenging. So for the next few minutes, we're going to talk about some challenges Hispanic media faces when it comes to creating a distinctive, valuable brand, both from a content perspective and from an advertising perspective.
So let's first start with content. The biggest challenge we see for our clients is a lack of distinction. Through our research, we know a one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't work. Simply translating news into Spanish will not provide the valuable local content that your Spanish speakers are seeking across all local news platforms. Take a look at these word clouds from a recent research study we conducted. Notice the lack of distinction. While each cloud may be different in size, they're relatively the same. Now, when you add the English stations from the same market, you realize Spanish news consumers see all the stations as interchangeable. Not a single one stands out. This is one of the reasons why language cannot be considered a differentiator. Your content strategy must be clearly defined, focused on content that will have the biggest impact on your target audience. In fact, our research shows that there's a growing trend among Spanish news consumers that puts a greater focus on how we're covering the community. Take a look at how one market defines community involvement by a station. The top priorities are based around community-related content. Spanish news consumers want a station that will stand up for the Hispanic community and be that vital resource during a crisis. To culturally connect with your Spanish-speaking audiences, newsrooms must shift their community commitment to focus on more valuable storytelling.
Absolutely. And as we think about that cultural relevance and connection, another challenge that often comes up is that we can't just think of Hispanics as a single culture. There are nuances by country of origin, even nuances by region of the country. So as we think about Hispanics, the Hispanic American experience of someone living in Miami versus someone living in LA or New York is completely different. And putting Hispanics in a box can often come across as stereotypical. From an advertising perspective, this idea of advocating for Hispanics that you were talking about, Kerri, and portraying the Hispanic consumer in a way that uplifts the community is a theme that comes up frequently when we talk about that cultural relevance and when we talk about combating stereotypes. We have an example here of a Spanish language ad we tested using an online tool that allows us to assess moment by moment, frame by frame, what is resonating and what isn't resonating with the consumer. We can see here that as the ad plays, it plays on the words Estamos Unidos, meaning we are united, and Estados Unidos, meaning United States. So it talks about being united to get through the pandemic while also showing the contributions of Hispanic frontline workers in a diverse range of jobs and roles in society. It's a very positive portrayal, and we can see that reflected in the marker distribution as well as the follow-up scores. The ad has an overall reaction score of 4.54 out of 5, a cultural relevance score of 4.46, and a net brand gain of 70%, which means that 70% of consumers are more likely to activate with this brand after seeing the ad. Now, looking at some of the qualitative feedback on the right side, one person said it gives importance to Hispanics and at the same time their contribution to the community. Another person said it makes me feel proud of my community. So really it comes down to advocating for the Hispanic community, celebrating Hispanic culture, and at the same time combating those stereotypes.
Now, Daniela and I could go on and on because we've just scratched the surface of the challenges Hispanic media face today. If you'd like to continue the conversation, let's talk.